Green Primalist set found in 10.07. Sweet. So this is the news that the Primalist sets in patch 10.07 will be upgradable to level 3. i.e. an extra 10 item levels in patch 10.05. Untapped Forbidden Knowledge is used for upgrades, which can be found on bosses in the Forbidden Reach. Apparently, currently dropping quite luxuriously from rares and elites in the Forbidden Reach. And considering like the entire gameplay loop of the Forbidden Reach in 10.0.7 is to kill those rares and elites, you're going to get quite a lot of these. So even if you have already turned your Raging Tempest gear at 385 into tier gear, obviously you won't be able to upgrade the tier gear if you've changed it from Raging Tempest gear to tier gear. Obviously you're going to have to start again, and you have to get all this shit again, right? Which means you are going to have to farm Elemental Overflow to buy the initial base piece. Then you're going to have to farm Primal Storm Sigils to get the upgraded 385 piece. And then you're going to have to farm Untapped Forbidden Knowledge to get the 395 piece. It's a bit of a rigmarole, so it might be worth saving up that shit now, basically. But it's really good for players that just do world content. And you know what? If you watch the weekly reset, or you watch this stream, I've always said that like the Elemental Storms and the Primalist Future and stuff like that, and all the things that you get Elemental Overflow from and Storm Sigils from and things like that, I was like, you know, it's not for me. I'm a raider. I do Mythic Plus. That's how I get my gear. I'm glad that it's there. I've done it once, and it's not really my kind of gameplay. I think it's a bit shit, really, but I'm glad it's there. I kind of take that back. Because since I've been leveling some of my characters, I leveled my Evoker over the last week while I've been ill and not working, basically. I leveled my Evoker. I have been working on my Warrior, who is mostly a prot warrior, but I put him in Fury when I log out so that he can look like this on my character screen. And I've very vaguely been working on my Survival Hunter as well. But particularly my Evoker and my Warrior. And I have been doing Primal Storms because, you know, they've all got like 5 or 6 charges of Catalyst right now. So, you know, all I need is gear and I can turn it into tier gear and I can get forset on these guys straight away. It's like really good. It's really good. And I've been doing the Primal Storms, just flying in, like getting my kind of sigil stuff that I hand in for the sigils. I've been doing the Primalst Tomorrow stuff and I really enjoy it. Like, on a character that needs to do it, I've really genuinely enjoyed it. And so I take back everything I said about the Primal Storms and the Primalst Tomorrow and stuff like that as being content that I don't really like. And how amazing is that? Because if this was any other expansion, I would have to have engaged with Primal Storms from the very beginning. If this was BFA or Shadowlands in particular, there would have been some reward attached to Primal Storms and the Primalist Future that I needed for progression on my main. And I would have been forced into that content, and I would have hated it. I would have fucking hated it. And I'd have been there like, it's just shit that I'm being forced into this content. I don't enjoy this content. I don't want to be forced to do it. And because I wasn't forced into it, I've come back with alts, and they actually can get something useful from this content. And so I've gone into it, what are we at now? Like 11, 12 weeks into the expansion. I've gone into this content for the first time, really, properly. And because I've gone there in my own time on characters, you know, where I wanted to go into it because they could get something for it, but I didn't need to go in there on my mains. For the first time, I've actually come to this content and I'm playing it and I'm enjoying it. And I'm going to end up playing this content just as much as I would have done if I had been forced into it in the first place. Just imagine if Torghast had worked like that. Just fucking imagine if Torghast had been something that I come to like 10 weeks into the expansion. And being like, you know what? I don't need to do Torghast on my main, and I don't, you know, it hasn't really got anything to offer me on my main, and I don't feel like doing it, so I don't want to do it. And I come back to it on like an alt or something 10 weeks down the line, and I've been like, oh wow, now that I'm ready for it, and now that I have a character that can get something from it, but I still don't have to go in there, right? You know, I'm doing the storms on these characters because I don't really want to like bother my guild with these characters yet. I want to get them kind of leveled up a bit more like gear wise. So I'm not running like normal raids with them at the moment. I'm not running like Mythic Plus with these guys at the moment. So, you know, I have a reason to go into these storms. I'm really enjoying it. Imagine if that had been the same with Torghast. Oh. Imagine if that had been the case with Island Expeditions. Imagine if that had been the case with Warfronts. Imagine if all of that content, all of those things I just mentioned, were like Primal Storms. And I think every single one of those pieces of content are better than Primal Storms, by the way, as content. But imagine that I hadn't had to do them to the extent that I resented them. Imagine they'd been things I'd been allowed to come to in my own time, when I was ready, when I was like 10 weeks into the expansion, when I kind of essentially finished on my main and I was just looking for ways to get my alts up and stuff like that. Imagine I had been allowed to play the content when I wanted to and how I wanted to. Imagine how much I would have appreciated that content much, much more, like I do with Primal Storms. At the moment, I like Primal Storms. I've had a better experience with Primal Storms than with Torghast or Island Expeditions or Warfronts, because I've been allowed to come to them in my own time. Because I've been allowed to like do them with characters that weren't my main, because I didn't have to do it for like mainline progression. And it feels so good. It's made me like, I think Elemental Storms are pretty shit content, honestly. I think like the Primalst Tomorrow is pretty shit content, but I've enjoyed it thoroughly because I've been allowed to do it in my own way, in my own time. There's so much to be said for that. And, you know, obviously Blizzard have learned that lesson in the case of Primal Storms. I just hope that's a lesson that they hang on to. I hope that's a lesson that they remember they've learned, right? And, you know, Torghast was much improved later on in the expansion, again, from 10.15 onwards, really. Like most of Shadowlands, it improved dramatically in the second half of the expansion, precisely for that reason. They changed their philosophy on it. It suddenly wasn't something that you had to do. And I enjoyed Torghast much more in the second half of the expansion, because, again, yeah, it did turn into something that I just went in on my ults to do. And because I wanted to like quickly farm a legendary or something, and it was infinitely farmable. I didn't like, there wasn't a maximum of twice a week that I really got anything for doing it with a like a super hard soft cap on it after that. You know, and like most of Shadowlands, the improvement was there in philosophy from 10.15 onwards, but most people didn't see it because most people would stop playing by then. And it breaks my heart. Like, imagine how much better BFA would have been if Island Expeditions and Warfronts followed that same philosophy that they've done with Primal Storms. Because both those pieces of content, head and shoulders above Primal Storms in terms of quality. Elemental Storms, I don't think are particularly good content, and I don't think the Primalist Future is particularly good content, but goddamn, have I had fun with them, despite them not thinking that they were my type of content. Have I had fun with them coming to them like 10 weeks into the expansion, doing them for the first time. And it makes me just wish that other content in recent expansions was as optional as this had been, because it would have been so much better. Massive lesson there, which I hope Blizz have learned and continue to learn. Like and subscribe, patrons $1.